Hi, I'm Paul Brodie, back in the shop here. Mitch behind the cameras. I have a Romax here. This is the one that I fixed a little while ago. It was called Romax Rescue, I believe, and I put in a bridge tube because the bridge tube was rusted out. So there's a little bit of a story with this frame, and I met the owner at the swap meet about a year ago. That's how long this frame has been in my possession, in my shop. And it's an old frame, and well, we knew the bridge tube had some rust to it. So I said to this owner, he's about half my age, so his eyesight's probably much better than mine. That's another part of the story coming up. And I said, well, someone's going to have to look at the frame because it's such an old frame. I think it was from about 1988. And someone's going to have to look at it and look for rust holes, look for cracks, things like that. And I said, so it's either you or me. And he said, oh, I can do that. So I gave him some instruction. And that's why you see areas of the frame have been sanded, because I said, you know, you have to take off the paint and then you can see what's underneath. So I realize now that there's, even though you can have really good eyesight, there's such a thing as a trained eye and an untrained eye. Me, I think I fall into the category of a trained eye. For example, when I was out at the frame building shop, I was teaching frame building 101, I could walk past a student working on their frame and I go, oh, you got a dent. And how I see that, my eye somehow just goes to whatever is not right, and it just stands out to me. Whereas if you don't have a trained eye, and even though your eyesight's good, you can overlook that. So what we found on this frame is there's a rust hole. Can you see this right here? So we're going to fix the rust hole. And then over here on the drive side, we have a crack. Can you see here? There's a crack that goes all the way around there. So it got sanded over, but if you don't know what to look for, you can overlook it. So anyway, that's what we're going to do now. Now, there's a couple ways of fixing this chainstay. You can put on a whole new chainstay. That's one way. But what you can also do, because this is the weak point when you use a Shimano dropout, because every time you're cranking on the pedals, you are torquing this tube here. And so if there's going to be a crack, it's always on the drive side. It's never on the non-drive side. You can change the stay or the stays, or what we used to do back in the days was to use a little piece of tube like this. This is 1/2 inch OD. It's DOM, drawn over mandrel, seamless. And we make a little insert to go in here. So what we do is to cut. I've made a couple marks here. It gets hacksawed right about there. And then we drill a hole. I'll probably use a longer tube so it extends up a little bit. So in the lathe, I'll machine this down. I'll sand out the inside. I'll drill a hole, and then I can nickel silver around this. And then I can also get nickel silver into the hole, so I know I have a really strong connection. So that's our job for today. How we fixed this problem is we went to the CNC dropout. And you can see there. And so the chainstay went right under that. It got TIG welded, and that was the end of the problem. So that was part of the evolution of our frames. You went from a Shimano dropout to CNC dropout, and it was just a lot stronger because we didn't get the flex in there. That was a really solid connection when it got TIG welded. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, please do. That helps our numbers. There you go. I was trying to think back when we used to do this repair back in the early 90s, and I think maybe we charged, I'm guessing, $60 to $80, not including paint. But that's when our shop labor rate was $40 an hour. You don't get 40 bucks an hour anymore these days. You get 140. Okay, so it's melting. I don't know if you can see that. There, see it melting? See it come in? Ooh. So, oh, look at that. Okay, so now I'm going to heat it up and use the wire brush. Maybe it got tic-tac back then. We did have a TIG welder at that time. Yeah, it's not coming off. I think we have a tic-tac situation here. Okay, so here's our rust hole right here. I think Mick showed you that earlier, but so what I'm going to do is we have to move the metal down so that we can put in some braze, but first of all, I need to sand it because once you dimple it down, it's very hard to sand in there. So there's my rust hole. So I'll give it a little sand, make it shine. Okay, that's sanded. I got my center punch. And we need to dimple it. Okay, can you see that? You can see how it kind of goes in. So what I'm going to do, my plan, I have to put some bronze on there. So I'm going to flux it up. And that's about how much I want to put on there. Just about like that. And it'll be slightly raised up, very, very slightly. And then it gets filed and sanded. And then you never know once the coat of paint goes on. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Got the cone at an angle and I'm a little bit away, maybe ½ inch away. These are the things you should be noticing if you're a student of brazing. And so I've got a soft part of the flame. If I got real close, that's more intense. So bringing it up to temperature. There you go. See it just start to wick slightly? That means, there you go. So it's up to temperature. I'll get it a little hotter so it flows. That's it, I think. See that? That was pretty quick. And if you look at it, there's not a lot to sand. Almost nothing to sand. Using my Tom Ritchie belt sander. That's from the early 80s. Still working fine. So I have to take off all the black and the bronze. We've got to take it down to bare metal. Next thing I have to do is to sand the inside of the tube because this is going to get machined down and that's going to insert into there. So I've got a stick, a rod, a 1/4 inch rod with a slot, and the emery cloth gets wrapped around that. So I'll put that into a drill. So this drill, I wanted to just show you. I bought this drill. It's a Black & Decker. I bought it in 1988. It has never let me down. And then I upgraded a couple years ago. And this works, but it smells like wiring. I know that something's not right inside this. And this is 2 years old. So I think the quality has slipped over the years. So you see, I just use a plain 5/16 nut. Let's do a little stretch here. There we go. So now I can get the drill in there. So let's do that. I'll wind it round until this is almost as large as the ID. And that's when I cut it off. A little bit less. Okay, so see what happens here. And what I'm doing, you can't see it, but I'm putting force up and out like that. I'm not just holding it. I'm putting force at different spots in the circle, and then I go back and forth. I think what we'll do now is to drill the hole, and then we'll do a little final sand inside to take the burr out. So let's check size. This is an approximation. Okay, 4.3, 4.38, and we'll go this way. Okay, 4.34. So why don't we try? We'll try 4.34. We're not concerned about weight. It's kind of a heavy frame. It's made out of the old Tanguay MTB tubing, which was never as light as the Prestige. This is about how far back that's the end of the stay wants to be. So I put it in like that, and then so I'm going to machine it down from here to here. And then if we look, yeah, see how the hole is about halfway? So that's good. So when this gets heated up and I flow in the nickel silver in there, it gets that whole area to hang on to. That's why I sanded the inside, so that this is clean, nickel silver grips. Okay, so I've drilled one hole. This is a 5/16 hole, and it goes through all the way. So you see how the wall thickness here is less than the wall thickness here. So what that means is that I can drill a hole. I'll probably drill a larger hole up to about the red felt pen line, and then it'll make it a little bit lighter because it doesn't have to be that thick on the other end. So if I go up couple sizes, this is what I do. See, I line that up with a felt pen. Can you see that? I'm lining up the edge of the drill, or the end of the drill, with a felt pen. And then that's how far in I drill. So that's pretty low tech, isn't it? See how I'm resting on one pinky here? It stabilizes my hand. Okay. That's a nice little scallop. And see how that ends up? So what we have to do now is to make sure that when the wheel is in, it's right in the middle. So I'm going to use my seat stay fixture. I'll show you that. This is my seat stay fixture. It's even written on there. So this is what I use to put on the seat stays, but in a pinch like this, I can use this to also show me if the dropouts are in line with the center line of the frame off the bottom bracket. So what I was wanting to show you is this. It's a modular system. This is 135. This frame happens to be 130. It was an earlier frame, and that was back in the years, probably 84, 85, somewhere around there, where some of the wheels were 130, some of them were 135. This one happens to be 135, so we're switching this. And how this works, I made this years ago. There's one Allen screw, and I can swap axles. So you see how this works? It's like a mini set of V-blocks, so it always goes in the same way. And what positions it also is this larger piece of 3/4 inch. You see how that fits in like that? So when it goes in, and there's two sides, the Allen screw wants to go down onto the flat. So you can swap this over in not very long, and everything lines up perfectly because it's modular and you got the V-blocks. So I just wanted to show you that. So we're going to put this into the frame. I'll put the frame up here, and then we'll see how it's aligned, because that's how it gets tacked. We're going to TIG tack it. So a little bit of TIG tacking coming up. So then it has to stretch like that. There we go. Look at that. That's how it all fits together. That looks nice. That's a good fit. Okay, so what I was telling you about, this is the seat stay fixture, but it can work here. There we go. See that? So this hasn't, there we go. Oh, that worked out really nice, because look here. Can you see here? When this is equidistant on the bottom bracket, I'm looking at the space on each side. That means that the wheel is right in the middle. So that's where it would get TIG tacked, right there. So do like a little bit there, and then the brazing. I'm going to flux up the inside of the tube, because once I install this, it's going to be very hard to get the flux all the way down inside. So I'm going to flux the inside of the tube, and then I'm going to wipe out around the rim of the tube so that I can still TIG tack. This is my plan anyway, so let's just see what happens here. So here we go. I'm getting flux inside the tube. Of course, it's hard to get it all the way down there, but here we'll just wipe inside just a little bit. Okay. So I have a plan here, because we have to braze. I have to braze here, and I have to braze here. And I've put a little bit of thought into this. I'm going to start on the end of the dropout, because that'll give more time for the heat to flow right up that little insert tube, and then it'll be more likely to be hot up at this end. So I'm starting here. I'm going to braze this first, and then I'll nickel silver this. I'll just use a bronze rod here, and then, yeah, bronze rod here, switch to nickel silver. I like the flow characteristics of the nickel silver. It'll get in there, and especially with that little port, that's my porthole right there. So I can get this warm, and I can watch the nickel silver flow into there. And if I put a little bit of heat on the outside as well, I should be able to watch the nickel silver get pulled in. It's capillary action. That's the name of that process. Okay, we're flipping it over. Keeping the tube warm because that'll get the heat into the chainstay. Oops. Okay, so what's left is the nickel silver now. I'll do the hole last. That'll give more time for the heat to spread. Okay, so see how the hole is filled up? What I'm going to try and do is to heat around and bring it up to temperature a little bit more and see if it sucks in. Be nice if it sucked in a little bit. That lets me know that it's flowing inside. No, it's not really going down much, so maybe a little bit. Okay, so it's gone down a little bit, so I'm going to be satisfied with that. There we go, we filled it up. We'll let it cool, take the flux off, file it up. Got a tiny hole there. Underneath here used to be a rust hole, and now you won't see it. This is called fine fingering. Okay, one rust hole gone. I'm calling that basically done. And so this Romex has been rescued yet again. Thank you for watching. We appreciate your support. Mitch and I like coffee. If you buy us some coffees, that really helps the flow of our channel. And we will see you next time. Take care.